to the family. It's 19 Keys tapping in. Today, we're about to do a review on the state of the culture. Why? Because there's a lot going on. No fancy infographics, no nothing, just me giving you some breakdowns of what I see going on in the culture. And my brother Steve is asking me the questions, make sure that I'm covering everything. I want to make sure that we get to this and we try to keep you up to date what's going on because I see a lot of bad guidance in the culture. And I feel bad for leaving y'all with a lot of these, well, suckers. You know what I mean? Because most of them ain't talking about nothing because they don't actually live. The problem a lot of times with professional YouTubers is they don't get outside and they give perspective on the internet, right? From the internet, within the internet, they're not leaving the internet. Everything that they talk about is a perspective that a guy on the internet would give you. You know what I mean? A person that don't have any experience in life. So therefore, they're not really giving you more experience at all, right? Sometimes it's things that they've gotten from a book, right? That gives them their social validation or what makes them think that they're an authority in the space. But most of the time, they're just another person on the internet that ain't been outside. You understand me? Since they was a goddamn kid. And there's a lot of things that I want to talk about today so that I'll be able to make sure that we're circulating clips to have some actual real guidance when it comes to what's going on in the world, right? And what is an actual good perspective to have. So, without further ado, I want to introduce my brother Steve Jones behind the camera, whom you won't see, but you might hear. And before we get started, let me make sure that everything is good with my microphone. So, and shout out to Father's Day and all the fathers that are out there, man. Shout out to me for Father's Day as well. Right. Though I do not have any biological children, I do have a lot of cultural, spiritual, you understand me, thought leader children that exist in the world. And, I really appreciate y'all because a father is somebody who raises you. Don't mean that they have to be the one that, you sprang from, you know what I'm saying, they sperm. You feel me? But he raised them though. You feel me? And that's one thing I like about in some cultures, like in some of the African cultures, is that once you become a baba, you understand me? It's every man is supposed to be a father, right? That's the way I look at it. Every man is supposed to be a father, and that really goes into what manhood is. Which is something we'll get into a little later, but for now, my brother, I'm Steve. I'm gonna let you take it away.
Well, we just came off the BET experience weekend. I want to know your thoughts on the overall award show. Do you feel like it was too much entertainment and nobody went in there with a message that means something in today's time? Or just, you know what I'm saying, you just tired of all of the party? Because I see you didn't attend this year.
Yeah, you mind shutting that door? Every year I have the opportunity to go. I have connections, I have people in high places, right? In all these organizations across the cultural landscape. And I've never been to BET. Never. I've had tickets, but I've never went. Mostly because it feels strange. BET, man, I haven't been invited back since, what was it last year? I could have went this year, media room, right? Got some of that, scooped up some of that attention and everything. Which I probably should have because there's nothing wrong with utilizing these spaces, right? Especially for your mission and your brand and your purpose. But when I went there one year, they paid me and they actually gave me some good money. You feel me? And it was mostly because I was there with EYL on their card as well. And the president of BET sits down and I interview with him. Now, me being 19 Keys, I gotta ask what I gotta ask. I gotta say what I gotta say. Money cannot move or rule me, right? Which is why I know we'll get into Kai tonight. I love what he did this year at BET. So I asked him, I said, do you think it matters that BET is not black owned? And of course, that clip got some engagement, right? And then BET was about to sell BET possibly to Tyler Perry or 50 Cent at the time, Kanye West or Diddy, right? Or Byron Allen. We had a lot of people names in the bucket, even Shaq. I had tested Shaq like, congratulations. I thought he might have won. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to get me a deal. But no, they didn't sell it at all. All they did was buy all that attention, raise the stock price and evaluation of the company, and they kept it white on. right? And so, after that, I had released a clip again around that time, and it spread and started to go viral. And I remember even going to BT that year and saying something about how does it feel now that BT is black owned. And I remember they like, you can't say that. And I was interviewing what's my brother with the barbershop show? With Mav Hoffa, and they made us do a retake, right? Because they was like, yo, I'm not sure if it's really black owned, so you shouldn't say that. And so that's when I knew, BT was gonna be doing the same thing over and over. And so again, when we get to BT, it's unfortunate because the first black billionaire was made off BT, right? And in media. And y'all know how important I find media and specifically our representation today and the narratives that we consume, right? And so when I go to BET, it's always this tension between what it should be, what it can be, and what it represented in the past, right? But what it currently represents in our present is a lack of ownership of the culture, right? And that lack of ownership means that there's a lack of control, which means we never are able to install the right codes needed when our people are taking in that programming. So when I see the BET stage, even though it is great cultural entertainment, and this is something that I've said to you all before, I know for a fact this is what's going to happen. BET is black excellence, and black excellence is a scam, right? What's going to happen is they're going to make you feel like you're winning, right? But without actually having any ownership or any true wins to celebrate. So everything will be blacker. The moments will be blacker. The galas will be blacker. The movies will be blacker. We're going to be getting all these metrics. This person got millions. This person did this, but it will represent nothing when it comes to the actual overall collective, right? But this is how you satisfy people, because I was always taught we love the devil because the devil gives us nothing. And there are so many people in love with the devil now. And what did the culture get? Nothing. So again, be careful. Be careful. The moments are going to feel blacker than ever. All they're doing is giving you a little more leash on a rope, but you're still on a rope.
So it's safe to say that you agree with Casanat saying he didn't take money from BET this year because he didn't want to be censored.
Yeah, I respect what Kai Cenat did. I see so many takes on Kai Cenat, man. Kai Cenat is a youngster. When I was his age, I was in the streets. I was doing a lot of dumb things. So when I see him and Speed living their life, making millions of dollars, having fun, influencing, doing all kind of different things, right? I'm not mad at them young brothers. And what I get frustrated when I see a lot of grown men disrespecting them, calling them out, calling it Sambo-ish and all these different things. I'm like, what was you doing at their age? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are young millionaires that need guidance. And what you're going to end up doing is creating this separation where they don't want to listen to no elders, right? At all, because you're utilizing these moments to create content, bashing these young brothers instead of giving guidance and game. You know what I mean? Like, there should be no reason to ever disrespect their names. Don't get me wrong. People can always go venture all the way to the left. But what I see with Kai Cenat is that, and I believe he might have some guidance in his ear, right? But what I see Kai Cenat is he's making very mature, smart decisions as a businessman and as a mogul, right? And I believe he can really become a mogul. He can become something powerful. But you have to have narratives around him, right, that are guiding him to make wise decisions and praising those wise decisions when he do make them. Not just, oh, I didn't like what he did this, let me talk about this. And so I don't like the way I see these grown men bashing these young brothers because they act like they've been perfect their whole life and they need to talk shit about these young men. No, I respect the fact that they built their own platform, that they're completely being independent, and each one of them have even made political statements that if they had advertisers that controlled them, they would not be able to make. And so I've seen, you know, we've seen when Kevin Hart said something about the homosexual community, they made him apologize. They took away him from being able to host the Oscars. It's things like that. You feel me? That become dangerous because loss aversion is very real when you think you got something and they take it away from you. You understand me? And now you feel this pain of having to fight for something that you thought you had. And then you got to apologize. And white advertisers control black culture, right? Because they are the ones that fund it. Right. They like Diddy was controlled through white money because they controlled Ciroc. All his parties was funded by Ciroc money, by liquor money in the liquor institution, right? They are the ones that funded all of the parties, right? When you looked at Revolt, he didn't own all Revolt, right? There was white men that owned a majority of that. But of course, he was the outward facing presence, right? So there's certain things you can't do. And when he tried to do certain things, even on that platform, he got certain ad dollars taken away from him. We don't talk about this relationship with advertisement and black media that is controlling the way we see ourselves, right? I know a lot of people who rock with me to the end, but they are afraid to platform me. And not because a white person told them not to, right? It's just that they're so used to working for institutional dollars and advertisement dollars, they don't want to do anything that can risk their paycheck. You understand me? And so that's why I say black excellence is a scam, because it's controlled by white capital.
Mm. So speaking of black narratives, Tyler Perry and Taraji P. Henson recently dropped a movie. Mm-hmm. And to my surprising, it was unlike any other Tyler Perry movie that he dropped before. And I just recently seen Judge Joe Brown call Tyler Perry out and say that he don't think he like black men. Tyler Perry responded and said that he made more black women millionaires than anybody. So he's gonna keep putting out the same type of movies. Well, did you see the movie and what was your thoughts on it?
I seen the movie. I think Tyler Perry do like men. I mean, black men. Mm. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just saying. I mean, obviously, Tyler Perry likes being a black woman in film.
Right.
Right. So he has, he really likes being a black woman. I don't know how else to say that. Like, literally, he plays a black woman. Right. All of his wealth comes from exploiting the image of black women. Right. The stereotype of black women at, you know what I mean, the lowest level to the highest level, right? That's Tyler Perry's bread. Those are the one people who watch his shows religiously and loyally more than anything. And so he talks about in his own childhood, these are the women that he saw, right? Obviously, these are the people that he looked up to, right? And so he doesn't show representation of great black men in his movies. That's not Tyler Perry.
What's your thoughts on his latest movie, though?
So I watched the movie, and I wanted to say that as a preference. I think the movie was great as far as the way it was shot, the emotion that it evoked, right? I think that it definitely portrayed, and it depends on the nuance and complexity in which you look at things. I think that it portrayed what everybody could feel, like this black woman struggle, but it also captured the human essence of people not thinking about what the next person is going through, right? Mm-hmm. And how we could be consistently contributing to others' trauma, right? Not thinking about it. And then there's the fact that it's a very dangerous psychological effect when we get characters of trauma consistently. Right. Because there's this thing to where, and shout out to Taraji P. Henson, she killed the role, right? And Tiana Taylor, she looked amazing, but I think she looked too good in the movie. I do. I've never seen a police officer that done up. She looked like she had a whole Hollywood, you know what I'm saying, dressing room before she came out. Then you gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't never seen a police that fine in my life. You feel me? So you gotta look a little stressed out. She looked like she just came from the spa. Okay, I'm ready to negotiate. Like, Tiana, you feel me, had a little stress in your face, a little less makeup, a little less perfection going on. But beyond that, great acting by both ladies. It was just that makeup thing was throwing me off because she looked like she came straight out of Hollywood and she had the best makeup artists and hair people in the world before she got it. And I know a cop salary is not that much. So I'm just trying to figure out how maybe she's been invested in crypto and they ain't show that. You know what I'm saying? And she got a YouTube account on TikTok, but they ain't show all of that. So I don't know. Right. But again, movie was great. Tiana Taylor did good. Taraji P. Henson did good. My issue with it is that when I think about what's necessary for strategic imagination, you understand me, showing different narratives of different archetypes of characters, it doesn't work and it's not beneficial to see black women in trauma, right? I grew up watching Losing Isaiah, you know what I'm saying? Right. We grew up seeing, so many movie Color Purple and so many movies of black female trauma that I don't think we need another reenactment of it, right? What we are now at this precipice to where we need to be utilizing media in a very intentional way, right? To showcase new images and new ideas and new belief and new faith in ourselves by creating new scenes that we've never seen before, right? Showing, like, if you look at it historically, how many black geniuses have been in film? Zero in the last 50 years without some kind of trauma, right? If you look at the stats will say 15%, right? You're gonna see some black geniuses and 85% gonna be white. But they're gonna say none of the black geniuses didn't have trauma-based genius. And it's not the same when it comes to the white counterparts. Theirs is more God-given and birthright, right? And so we always have a story of trauma attached. And so if a person don't see it, they can't believe it, right? So you literally can rewrite people's narratives in their head based on what they watch and they perceive, and especially as we watching these characters. Yes, I see my mother in that character. Yes, I see many black women. I want them to watch a movie and see themselves excel beyond that reality. That's doing that through futurism, doing that through showing different narratives. And the movie didn't have a great ending to it, right? Like, she lost her daughter and it was just trauma. You feel me? So I think that's why it's disingenuous to say that he can't make movies that stimulate strategic imagination and shift the consciousness of our women to see themselves more than stories of trauma.
Now, do you think that is because if trauma isn't added to a black film, black people won't relate?
That's 100% false. We watched the movie Forever and we loved it. Forever is the greatest black film that has come out as far as like around love and family in like the last 10 years to me. You understand me? It's at the top of my list right now, right? Forever was a movie that showed us glimmers instead of triggers. So we are used to conflict. So conflict makes us feel comfortable, right? But when you make a person feel safe, we enjoy that as well. Mm-hmm. So a trigger is something that induces trauma. It triggers something that's in you that you went through, right? Reminds you of a memory. But a glimmer is something that makes you feel good, makes you feel safe, right? So when we see and watching that movie, we was waiting for the trauma. It never happened. And we left with a breath of fresh air, like, each episode was like, okay. It was well developed. They show the father, you understand me, with logic. The mother, of course, had her own mind, but when the father spoke, she listened to his leadership and his stewardship in the family, right? The son wanted to do his own thing. He didn't want to become like his mother. And ultimately, the father had to, right, while allowing the mother the freedom to try to shape the young boy, tell her when she's going too far, right? And she had to respect that in the end, and he had to find his way. And I think a lot of young men can see themselves in that character, especially when the character has some ADHD and some learning disabilities. I think we can dive more into that idea, but I think it was ultimately a very beautiful movie that had no trauma, no agenda in there. It was a beautiful black family. You understand me? And it was complex because they was telling stories of black family, black wealth, and gender positions while respecting the traditional family. You understand me? They showed what a family could be in the future. Black woman got her career. The black man, he was interesting in that movie. The black man was at home, but he wasn't a stay-at-home husband. He was cooking, but not because he was effeminate, it's because that was a part of his job in his business. And so later on, even though the black woman did throw a slight at him, they later showed him triumph and get multiple businesses and have a franchise. And they never showed him have any insecurity about what she was doing, because the most beautiful thing is when a black man and a black woman come together in a partnership. So yeah, you may have helped him get on his feet, but he soared once he got there. And that's what family should be like, right? So that movie was beautiful. And that movie shows you that you can make black stories without trauma.
Let's get into some hip hop news real quick.
For sure.
So since 2025 started, we had got the announcement that, the Super Bowl was happening and people wanted Lil Wayne to perform. But around that time, he ended up announcing that he was going to drop the Carter 6. And the Carter 6 is out now. I gave it a listen. My take is that I feel like he's an excellent rapper still. He just had poor production on it. I want to know, did you listen to the album and what's your thoughts on it?
I didn't finish the album, so I can't give an honest critique. And the way I judge albums is by what you're trying to do and if you did it.
Mm.
My problem is I don't know what he was trying to do with the album.
It's all over the place.
Yeah. So typically I know like if you listen to a Pusha T album, you know what he's trying to give you nostalgia. He's trying to give you coke bars, trying to give you some fashion and some lyricism. You know what I mean? Like you gotta listen to an artist and they explaining like this is what I'm doing with this album. Right. I know what Kendrick is trying to do with an album, whether I love a Kendrick album or like it or hate it. I don't think I ever hated one, but I first listened, what was he trying to do and did he do it? And so therefore I can take myself out as a fan and say, if a person says they wanted to paint a masterpiece, right? And that masterpiece was based on them capturing a scene of, I don't know, emotion and somebody in space. And then they showed me the picture and I'm like, yo, I see the emotion. I see somebody in space. I might not like what they painted, right? Or why, but the fact that they accomplished their goal means that they were successful, right? So when I listen to a Lil Wayne album, I'm like, okay, what is this? The Carter Six?
Yeah.
What was he trying to do with the Carter Six? I don't think nobody really knows. Right now, maybe he can explain to me that he was trying to do something that goes away from traditional hip hop, right? Something that's fun and experimental for him as a 40-plus-year-old man. You understand me? And give him a reason to want to get in the booth again when he don't have to, right? So he wanted to be something that tears your ear up because he's not making it. Because we so used to music being made for social media too,
I was
right?
just about to, that's
And
my next question.
that's why it's a double-edged sword because though I think he, of course, he got bars, right? But I don't think Lil Wayne has meaning, right? I don't know what Lil Wayne means anymore. I remember when he was trying to be the greatest rapper alive. I understand what he was trying to do when I heard him rap. I remember he wanted to be the swaggiest rapper alive. I understand what he was trying to do. I remember when he got bored with rap and he started going rock. I understand what he was trying to do, whether I liked it or not. When he went country, I understood what he was trying to do. He was trying to, he felt like he had mastered the art form and he wanted to spread out and he wanted to go into these different tentacles, which is where Drake got his whole ideas of going into Afro beats and all these other different genres.
Right.
That was Lil Wayne first. I understood what he was trying to do at least so I could justify it. Maybe I'm not consuming enough of his narratives that he putting out there. I don't know what he's trying to do with Carter Six.
Do you feel like social media kind of diminish our respect for legends like we once had back in the day?
100%. I think sometimes, all right, so first I want to finish that last point. We're making music for social media. So we used to make music for what? The dance floor, because people would dance. So you would make
Right.
music for people can boogie. You feel me? Because the club used to be a space. Well, I'm thinking about like the 70s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was boogie get down music. Like they would be out there really just, you know what I'm saying, going crazy with it.
Right.
Then even as we grew up, you know what I mean, early 2000s, it was still dance music because it was making it for when you do go to the club, you do go to a space, people would get together and they would dance still. There was a dance floor. You go into the further end of the 20s or the 2000s and now going into the 20s, we no longer have a dance floor, right? We have sections. We sit down, we on our phone, right? You're making music of to where you want to, it's almost like ringtone music, right? Where music got shorter with the ringtone, the Soulja Boy was doing that. Then we got TikTok with shorter music. So people was making ringtone hits. Now they're making TikTok hits, right? Now they're making it was caption music where Drake can drop some quotables for captions. Then we made music so that it can fit under your picture, you know what I mean, for a mood. You feel me? When you drop your picture. So the music is consistently being curated because it's an industry and it's a music business, right? So now when we listening to music at the club, it's not dance music because people don't dance. And now that's why the club is dying because people are overpaying and they're not enjoying themselves like people used to in the club because now it's only curated to make money and not for people to truly enjoy themselves, right? So that's where I think, we don't know where Lil Wayne music exists at. You feel me? Like I got an album that's gonna be dropping. You feel me? I got a song probably be dropping on Juneteenth. But I'm thinking about like what world does my music exist in? And I'm going to be making an album called um that's not what this one is called, but I really think that my album is not for this world, or my music not for this world. And what I mean by that is like people always say, make music for the club, make music for this, make well, My music is for a world that don't exist. You know what I mean? Like we don't have spaces to where we meet up with each other and have sober social fun, right? There's new wellness trends coming up where kids are not drinking as much. So I can't make music for a lifestyle that I don't live, right? I can't make music for a world that I don't believe in. So it's not for this world. So you have to now think of new spaces. Excuse me. You have to think about new spaces to exist and where your music exists in. You got to curate a world for that. Lil Wayne's, I don't know what Lil Wayne's world is at all. You know what I mean? Like D1, I can understand his music more than Lil Wayne because I understand what world he built it. You understand me? This world that's anti-hip hop because hip hop has become anti-culture. You feel me? So he's going to do verses with artists, you feel me, and get them to come in his world. He don't go into their world. So if you're listening to his music, you have to listen from that lens of the world that he's pushing and he's building, right? So I think that artists need to get smarter with the world that they building because everybody was listening to this and say, man, I don't get it. I don't understand where does this fit at? Where am I supposed to listen to this? And I don't think it's as bad as everybody said because I was listening to some of the stuff in the gym, but then some stuff just got disrespectful to my ears.
I recently seen a new study that says Gen Z spend 88% less on alcohol than boomers.
Mm-hmm.
And according to this data, the boomers spent $25.9 billion on liquor compared to Gen Z that spends $3.13 billion. Why do you think this decrease in alcohol has occurred?
For multiple reasons. First of all, alcohol doesn't have a good narrative with young people, right? Because alcohol was sold to us through movies, through music videos, right? Through lyrics. You have to think about our connection with our favorite brands. You know what I mean? Whether it was Pass Me the Cavassier, you understand me? Which it was
alcohol.
Yeah, it was Ciroc lyrics. It was Cristal popping. You understand me? Champagne shot. You know what I mean? Like all of these things, our favorite drinks come from music. You know what I mean? The lyrics in that music. You know what I mean? Hypnotic and Hennessy. You feel me? Then it's the movies. In the movies, you will listen to the jock is the one who was the one that had a fake ID. He go get the liquor from the store. There was always a scene. And the liquor industry lobbied Hollywood to create these scenes so that they sell narratives to young adults to make them feel like if you're drinking liquor, like you're one of the cool kids, you're popular, you're empowered. Children start watching Hollywood as much as start watching social media, right? And so the liquor industry didn't have that same control. Then you got a lot of young children that's focused on, I ain't gonna say young children, but young adults, right? Especially after 2020, that's more focused on wellness, right? And their own health. And so getting drunk after the Me Too movement don't seem like a smart thing for young girls. You understand me? Like there were so many things that's been sold to us. Like we always thought like in order to like come together, we got to literally drink. Then it became like, wait a minute, if she drinking, she can't consent. And there was so many different things that come about that changes the narrative of liquor for us. So of course they are vaping, they are doing lean, they are doing multiple other things, but the liquor industry has lost control of the narrative of liquor as a drink. Diddy sold us Ciroc. Diddy sold us Ciroc. You understand me? Like, what's JayZ's drink called? Douce. You understand me? Like that Douce was that when it first came out, we was going to the bar, going to the liquor store, buying that expensive Douce. We felt like, you feel me, JayZ sipping that. You feel me? Straight up. So, you know, Lil Jon had us on that Grey Goose. You know what I'm talking about? Like, even Four Locos. We was tripping, drinking all this terrible liquor and alcohol. Absolute abstinence. It was ridiculous, right? So thank God this generation didn't grow up off that, but then they did grow up with crackhead rappers. So crackhead rappers start selling them all of the pills, all of the lean. Right. Now you got that one big guy who's so big he can't even stand up, and he got a double cup sipping on the stage. You feel me? So you have to understand we get media-driven narratives. Right. So that media is content through music, it's content through movies, through TV shows. And so when we don't see those scenes, when we're in that emotion that that scene is connected to, right? We don't think to do that thing. So now a kid is sad, but he's not saying, I need to go to the bar like a real man. We watch James Bond, one of my favorite movie trilogies, and he'd get the martini shaking not stirred. You feel me? And it felt like it was some cool man shit to do. But cigarettes and liquor, they were connected to movements. It was connected to masculinity, popularity, social life, becoming a socialite. Women empowerment started being connected to wine, right? A powerful woman drinks wine. Then it was marketed to women, mothers. They drink wine at home. You feel me? Like, again, when we stop being on Hollywood media narratives, right? Then the younger generation grew up off social media narratives. They sell them different products. I think it's just as simple as that.
Speaking of social, another thing that this generation do, they don't approach women in public.
Ooh, this is a good one right here. Yeah,
so I want to know your thoughts, like, because you know when we grew up, we ain't had no choice but to go pull up on whoever we had our eyes on and whatnot. But this generation, they don't approach women because they really can just tap your phone with their phone and get your number. Really, they ain't really got to do too much. Like slide in the DM.
So I'm gonna look in this camera and I'm gonna ask you, ladies, when was the last time a man approached you, right? And do men approach often, or do they wait for the woman to approach? Now I'm gonna switch back to my other camera. So this is a really good topic. I think this is a really good topic, right? So communication is the most important skill set in the world to me. Communication is the most important, the most powerful skill set, right? It requires confidence, right? It requires social skills, right? Your ability to sell is based on your ability to communicate. And unfortunately, our communication skills are lacking because we have new ways and devices to communicate and connect with each other. These new ways to connect through social media, through DMs, through dating apps, right? Decrease that skill set of needing to have that confidence, right? And that ability to communicate with somebody in person. So when I was younger, we would literally go to the mall and we would get numbers. This was the game that we would play. How many numbers you can get. Didn't even matter if like she liked you or, you know what I mean, it turned into something else. Me, my brother, and my cousin, we would play the game at the end of the day, see who got the most, right? Some of the numbers would be real, some of the numbers would be fake. But that was all within the journey of the game. This gave us great social skills. You understand me? Some of these social skills of being able to approach someone, right? Having an opening liner, or figuring out some creative way to say something, being witty on your toes, dealing with objection, right? And so being able to create flow within conversation. When it switched over to direct message, right? Or switched over to the Tinder to where you just swiping and you start getting unlimited options, it started to, number one, rewire our brain, right? About our ability to connect with different people. And number one, it created a space where it became easy, right? The hookup scene became super easy, right? And I'm gonna go through a little history here and a little nuance. So again, when growing up in Oakland, we were just a little different. Growing up in Oakland, we had that ability to be able to, charm our way into a situation. My older brother taught me the game. You understand me? And by giving me the game, it allowed me to be able to communicate at the highest level. And by game, I'm just simply meaning the ability to express yourself and be confident in front of other people, right? Specifically women, right? Nowadays, a lot of men are waiting for the woman to approach them. We have a much more, of course, feminine generation, right? See, a lot of things that we say we want men to do, we don't realize the repercussions that come along with that. Then there's a lot of narratives, right? Hollywood will show you like approaching women. That's what a real man does. He's confident in his approach, whether it's a cold, warm, or hot. A lot of men need it to be a hot approach. A cold approach means you don't know her from nothing in the world. And you walk up to her and you say something. You find something to connect to in some kind of way to be able to flow right into a conversation. And conversation with women is all about flow. Some men, as analysts, you overthinking it. You understand me? And so what happened is there's a lot of women who are not being approached anymore So damn near any man that approaches them has 100% more likely chance than ever of actually getting the woman or getting the opportunity to get to know this woman. These women are stepping outside looking good. You understand me? You got some money, got their nice purse on, shoes. You understand me? They putting on their fitness clothes and things of that nature. They want to be complimented. They want to be talked to because a lot of women got tired of the dating scene online. They said they want real connection, so they went outside. The problem is when they went outside, especially to the club, everybody on their phone, everybody in their section, and somebody trying to pour some liquor down their throat, and they didn't want to have to pay to get in, but they know they had to be friendly with you, and then therefore you'll get them in the club and let them in a section, and then they want to spend all that money on liquor, and you let them have some of your liquor, but she didn't want you to lick her. She didn't want to be with you. You understand me? And so the women started thinking about all of these steps and things that they got to do just to go out and enjoy themselves after having a hard week of working, because more women are working jobs. And they just start thinking this ain't worth it, right? On top of that, the men are not even approaching them. They're giving you the eyes, the stare, the hair waves, the smile. They're putting their phone down. They decreasing the proximity to you, getting closer, and you just looking. Let me hit this camera. And you just looking. Shy. Back to this camera. So the men have become more feminine in their approach, and now they are the ones that want to be the prize, and of course they want to be approached, right?
All right, you say how men want to be the prize, right? Do you feel like narratives nowadays make men have to be the prize? Like women be wanting their finished product, or at least that's what the narrative on social media.
You got to get off social media.
Or do you feel like people are intimidated? Because that's how they get programmed.
No, I get
people
it.
Are programmed.
Social media driven narratives is programming for sure. So you think that that's what women want, right? And there's some fantasy in the mind. Of course, women are not growing up on Disney and Hollywood anymore. So they're not thinking about a Prince Charming coming to save them. They are growing up somewhere on social media narratives. And so many social media narratives are steeped in capitalism, right? And it's false narratives being driven that every woman wants a man. Of course, listen, here's the thing. Every man wants a woman that's a 10, that's beautiful. Right. You understand me? That's thick, that's nice, that's polite, that's peaceful. You feel me? That's agreeable, that's smart, but not so smart to make you feel stupid. Of course, every man wants this ideal woman in his mind. But is that what he gets? No. Men settle for what they can get and what brings them peace at the end of the day. Sometimes peace. So women, yes, can have their fantasies. You understand me? Of a 6 foot, you understand me? 6 foot, by 9, 6 figures, tall, dark, handsome, you feel me? Masculine man. Like, of course they got their fantasies. You have to step out of the world of social media fantasies, right? In real life connection. Real life connection just requires you to be a confident man, a good man, but a confident man to actually approach them, because women are looking for connections online. They just talking and making content. They just making content, bro. You know what I mean? Same like how many cats we know, you know what I mean? That not as attractive from social standards. They ain't really got much going on in life. And they'll probably put out what kind of woman they want. Right? But then we see the type of women they get in real life. You feel me? Like, that sound nice. Great story. You feel me?
I know you, bro.
Yeah, like I know you though. If you gonna ask the average man, they're describing their dream man. And the man, so of course the man doesn't feel like they're fitting their dream man, because you don't fit the dream man, because the dream man don't exist. He's a dream. You know what I'm saying? The fantasy don't exist. It's a fantasy. Women are allowed to fantasize. Right? And they romanticize these fantasies and create content, engagement, and get paid, and they capitalize. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of social media pipelines that women go down through to where they be telling and brainwashing these women about these things. But the reality of it is, when I was out, we was in New York, it was a woman from a publication, I think it was XXL or the Source magazine. And she was asking, what do you think about the gender wars between black men and women? They can't get along. I said, look around. I said, all these black men are talking to black women and they're enjoying themselves, laughing and vibing right now. The gender wars are online. You have to get offline. People are chronically online, and we're having conversations about what's happening online. Get offline. The people are having run clubs right now. What you think is happening in the run clubs? There's runners in the run club. You understand me? People are meeting up at coffee shops and wellness events, and people are in book clubs finding women, and you know what I'm saying? Like people are going to events and seminars and lectures and traveling different countries and vibing. Like the people that's outside, they're not giving you their true stories of what's happening outside. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them are happy and they don't want to share the secrets with you. But I'm gonna tell you, as a man, the best thing you can do is have confidence within yourself, right? And create your own narratives. You have the power. You understand me? Like when you in the gym, women go to the gym looking for men. Not all women, of course. Any generalization is just simply not true, right? But a generalization, when a woman sees you in the gym and you eyeing her and she eyeing you, don't be thinking about that clip you seen where they said we want a women's only gym and these are creeps. No, she looking at you because she likes you, and she likes you because she's attracted to you. You feel me? And she wants you to maybe say something. And if you say something, she gonna say something back, and you just start flowing.
Yeah, you gotta
It's simple.
risk that rejection.
Why is Bashir calling me right now, man?
I want to know your thoughts on this, right? So our good brother Ray Daniels say he doesn't respect JayZ because he brags about how he became a billionaire and he won't look out for Dame Dash as he go through his financial problems. And you know, my sentiment on it is I feel like shit, Dame Dash go on every platform, you know what I'm saying, to bring up this JayZ thing, kind of say he don't mess with him and all that. So I don't feel like JayZ is you know what I'm saying, should have to feel like he have to look out for anybody, especially another grown man.
Commercial break. I need my other cord. That's the direct one that go on this. It should be in the backpack. So I don't want my computer to die. So I think, you know, I know Dame Dash personally, right? I call him, he'll answer. Dame Dash, he's a great guy to know. He is a genius, very intelligent man. The thing about the Dame Dash thing, I wish people would stop connecting JayZ and Dame Dash. And I know he talks about JayZ, right? People bring him up to him in interviews, and he has his own media, and he's used that. I would love for them brothers to reconcile, right? Yeah. I would love for them to reconcile their differences. I just don't see that in the cards in the future, right? That's completely up to where JayZ is at in his life. It has nothing to do with Dame Dash, right? And I want to give Dame Dash enough credit and ownership over his own life, right? To not blame JayZ, because I think that Dame Dash is smart enough, right, and more capable and resilient enough, right, to get himself out of a hole. And as you can see, all the things that they taken from Dame, he acquired though. Whether it's a ranch, whether it's a media company, right, whatever monies that he has, this is a man who's never given up in all his times. And I think that belittling it, and shout out to my brother Ray Daniels, right? But belittling it to something that JayZ hasn't done to Dame Dash, I think is taking away the credit, right, of Dame himself. And that's all I really want to say about that. But I think that the narrative that Dame Dash needs JayZ should stop. And perhaps we need a new narrative, right? Of like just looking at Dame Dash as an entrepreneur, somebody who's been through the ups and downs. You know what I mean? Dame Dash is somebody who has taught all of us one thing or another. He has literally helped put people in position that became billionaires. You understand me? But I just don't see Dame as a charity case. So I can't put that on JayZ, right? And I see JayZ as somebody who has built up a very fortified, empire, right? One thing we don't give JayZ credit for is when them people came at them, he shut that down fast. Right. We don't see black men do that. We don't see them wield their power and saying, listen, you're going after the wrong one. I respect the hell out that move. We see people trying to tear down JayZ as well. We see people trying to tear down Dame Dash as well. right? You rock with them when you rock with them, and then you laugh at them when you don't. I think we have a very toxic ass aspects in our culture on how we see and view each other. But I give both of these men, you know what I mean, a badge of respect, just simply based on their mental resilience. I don't have to like all their moves. You know what I mean? But they have a level of mental resilience that most black men need to adapt. I heard what's his name? His homie, what's his name? He was on Drink Champs and he was talking about how Memphis Bleak was talking about how JayZ, or not Drink Champs, I think he was on Breakfast Club. Yeah. And he was talking about how, you know, at the time when he was wilding, JayZ was basically stepping away from that because he trying to go make $1 billion moves. And I can say that this is a very real thing. And anybody that's ever tried to elevate their circumstances, there's only some people that can go with you. And those are the people that's elevating with you. If you're trying to go to the next level and the person is stuck on one floor, not because they can't get on the elevator, because they don't want to go up. They enjoying the party at this level. You understand me? You're like, bro, I'm trying to go to the top. And you getting on, and every time y'all go in, they press third floor and you press the top. But there's different etiquette to get at top. There's different rules, there's different people you got to know, right? There's different associations you got to build. People might not like JayZ's capitalism or respect that, but you have to understand rules of engagement of life regardless. So I'm just looking at it from that perspective as well, that men that I don't know, I typically just take wisdom from. You know what I mean? There's nothing that I'm going to personally do to change the way JayZ thinks or lives. So I always look, okay, what can I learn from it if I'm in that same situation to where it allows me to guide myself onto that next level, right? And then I learn from what people do right and what people do wrong. So when I get in position, right, I can do better.
This is my last two topics I got for you, but let's take it to the Midwest real quick. I recently seen you out in Chicago with Golden Child doing, pushing peace for the summer in Chicago. And we know that rapper Lil Durk is, he was facing the death penalty for murder for hire. However, they just dropped the death penalty, and in order for him to get a bond, the judge say they want him to give up all his assets and even his bank account to $0 balance in order for him to receive a bond. But it all stems from the way they act out there in the streets. You know what I'm saying? The trenches, so called, and whatnot. I want to know, how was that experience actually going out there to Chicago, and what did you take from that experience?
So, shout out to Father Fletcher and Saint Sabina Saint Church. I don't want to say it wrong. So I always say Biana Saint Sabina, something like that. Now, y'all know me. I'm 19 kids, right? I'm radical in my thought process. So when a white man invites me to do anything, I'm always weary. But it wasn't the white man inviting me, it was some of my Muslim brothers that he works with. And what you have to learn about is, one thing I learned about wisdom, and wisdom can recognize something in any form in which it comes, right? Minister Farrakhan once said that, he said, I'm a Christian, and I'm paraphrasing, but he was speaking on, he reads from the Quran and the Bible, and he was saying there's a lot of people, a lot of Christians and Muslims who go at it, right? And they be fighting at each other. And he said that if you really have the wisdom, right, of your God, like you have the wisdom of Jesus or the wisdom of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, then you'll be able to recognize a Muslim or a Christian, regardless of the name, right? And so it's the same thing of being able to recognize a good person, right, regardless of the cloth or the color. Now, again, Minister Farrakhan co-signed him, so I felt like that co-sign was enough. So I went out there, and first of all, the church is incredible. It got a black Jesus, sacred geometry. You know what I'm saying? It's fire. I'm like, wow, if I had a church like this, man, you feel me? I might have went to church when I was younger. But when you go there, you realize this church does so much work in the community. I mean, a lot. It was so many faces of young black men and women who were shot, killed, senseless violence in Chicago. That part was sad. It was a little hard to stomach. You understand me? But from everywhere I went, when you talk about this particular church, man, everybody's like they real. They in the trenches. You know what I mean? They provide opportunities, resources, conflict resolution, safe haven. Like this is one of those spaces to where they don't show it enough, right? But this is one of those them real places to where the community really gather and they really care. So respect to all the work that they doing out there because this was right in the trenches. You feel me? My brother, Golden Child, of course, if I'm going to Chicago, I gotta hit him up. They got the big unity movement, and the big unity movement is all about bringing peace to the hoods in Chicago, right? And they wear the shirts unity no matter where you from. Where you from the west side, whether you from the south side, it don't matter. You understand me? These are brothers that a lot of them was really in the trenches as savages. You know what I mean? And now they taking that energy and going to war for peace. And so shout out to Golden Child because he's been doing incredible work. And there's a lot of people that's really in the trenches and really in the streets. You feel me? And really are the ones on the front line doing the work for the people. And it ain't easy. When you're doing that kind of work, man, I'm gonna lie, it's exhausting. You're stressed out. Sometimes it get depressing. You know what I mean? It's cats that you're trying to help one week and they dead the next. You don't know how much that weighs on your heart. You feel me? As a man, as somebody doing that kind of social work and community activism, and these are not the ones that's getting the spotlight. You know what I mean? This brother got a whole music career he want to push, but he out there every single day. Look, I could only have done they asked me to come out there and do a speech for 5 minutes. I ended up staying for 5 hours and walking 5 miles. You understand me? Because once you know when you outside, man, you outside. It felt like just walking through the streets of St. Louis or something, to be honest. But it was a love, a lot of energy out there. Vic Mensa gave a great speech out there. You feel me? It was powerful. And I look forward to going back. We also had a Supermind session at Sip and Savor. It's owned by a black man. And this was an incredible coffee house. We went there, we did a free event for the people, right? Let the people come there, ask questions. There was a lot of community leaders that was there as well that do a lot of great work in Chicago. So I look forward to sharing that platform or the content that we shot out there with the people as well, so y'all can see these conversations, these Supermind sessions, and Supermind talks that we having. And that's just based on like us shifting the culture. Like you don't need to go to the club to be around women and have conversations and like what can we do to where we have sober social fun? You know what I mean? And so that was a beautiful thing to do because we gonna continue to do that. Work with restaurants, work with clubs, work with bars, work with owners of spaces and venues to bring our people together to where they ain't got to spend hundreds of dollars on liquor, sit in the section, you understand me, and stare at each other or their phones. Like we can actually come together and have spaces of connection. Shout out to the FOI, man. The FOI really took care of me when I was out there. It was powerful. You understand me? They made sure that whatever we needed, they was there. You know what I mean? They was able to regulate the crowd and things of that nature. I don't think we would have been able to do the event without them.
I did say that was my last question for you. However,
I got one for you. What about this this Will Smith stuff?
What about it?
Did you not see what happened?
No, I didn't.
You ain't see that video? Y'all seen that video? Everybody seen that video?
No, I really didn't.
He got a video. It's a I like pretty girls. It's bad. And shout out to my brother Minister Aziz for taking care of us. My brother, I appreciate you. Salute to you, Black God. Thank you for all the work that you put in. I look forward to working with you again. So he got a video called I Like Pretty Girls. Y'all seen this? I mean, it's look it up. It's like something off Black Mirror. And I want to be respectful to Mr. Will Smith. You know, it's one of the worst pieces of content that's been created. Don't play it too loud. I don't want them to mess with my video. You might want to play that on audio mute because that's bad. You see it? It's bad. It's bad, y'all. It's one of the worst pieces of content ever created in hip hop history. And it was so bad, I had to call this ghostwriter. And I'm like, bro. I'm like, bro, what's this? And he like He like, I ain't got nothing. Listen, let me actually, I think I might be saying too much. Let me relax. Scratch that from the record, y'all. Scratch that from the record. But I will say this, man. I think Will Smith, man, I think you need to go in a different direction. You need to go in a different direction. Because whoever had you do that, whoever had you make that music video don't care about you. And they don't know nothing about the culture. And I don't know why you're so disconnected that you thought that that was a good direction to go. You know what I mean? Like the you, I would prefer you have made gangster music.
Nope. See, this the thing. Like you asked me what's my thoughts on it. Now that I just seen this,
You got to listen to the
Will
lyrics
Smith
too.
transcends culture.
Nobody, and I mean
Will
absolutely
Smith
nobody
is a
transcends
global
culture.
superstar. So he gonna put out content for black people. He can't just put out content for black people. He put out content for the world, the entire planet. So this video might not make sense to black culture, but overseas they might enjoy this. So
It ain't gonna make sense to no
matter of
culture.
fact, I get it coming from him. This video couldn't come from any other rapper.
You gotta listen to the lyrics too.
I ain't listen to the lyrics.
It's even the lyrics was worse than the video for him to say it in the way he's saying.
Well, technically, those are not his lyrics.
It don't matter, man. It's just bad.
I got a serious
That's the word. Listen, man. No, I think you once you start making music like that, you just got to give up.
Yeah.
You feel me? Because I know you got better. I think I think I'm gonna call it the team. I know it's a terrible team around you. If you had a better team, you'd do better things. But there's no reason I should see Will Smith as 50-year-old man making music like that or videos like that. You know what I mean? Like we need some. This is why you asked the question earlier about legends.
Right.
This is why we stop respecting our legends.
When I do say
They start doing shit like this. You know what I'm saying? Me and you can't look at them the same after that. Like you had a great movie, but then it's like, bro, you have to be so disconnected. You know what I mean? From culture, from self, to where I don't even see Will Smith in that. I just see what everybody else told him to do. That's all I see. That's all I see. And I don't understand what he's going through. I know like men go through, you know what I mean? These what they call it. We have issues, midlife crisis. That's what that looks like to me. Looks like a midlife crisis. You are a deca millionaire. You understand me? One of the richest actors ever. Once you get to that level, man, do something better for the culture. Do something better for yourself. Do something better for your children and your daughter. You understand me? Like I know you got better resources to make better music and you want to express yourself. But that one, even you as a 50-year-old man saying I like pretty girls, right? And the models weren't even the best models. You understand me? And the lyrics about I like her and I like her. And he said, I like girls, I can't deny. And it's almost like you trying to tell us you're not gay or something. And it's like, what's going on?
That's another one of them TikTok songs.
No kids on TikTok is gonna listen to that. No kids on TikTok listen.
No,
there's no side of TikTok that listens to that.
This is a serious narrative I want you to break down because I feel like we got to talk about this every single year. The respect on Father's Day. When Father's Day roll around, it feel like just another normal day. And like even when you go out in public, nobody tells you Happy Father's Day the way we do on Mother's Day. And I just recently seen a new study that says on Mother's Day, we spend $10 billion compared to Father's Day. They spend $10 billion more than Father's Day.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
Like
First of all,
if you don't get your girl nothing for Mother's Day, it's damn near like a war. Versus if it's Father's Day and you don't get nothing, you better not even say nothing.
All right, so this might be a hot take. I don't think men are not women. So I don't think men really need much for Father's Day. You know what I mean? I think it's more so what men want on Father's Day is acknowledgement. You know what I mean? Appreciation, gratitude. You feel me? Don't get me wrong. We like thoughtfulness. You know what I mean? Like, I think like I don't think we should be spending that much on Mother's Day because turns into capitalism. But I don't think that the metrics should be whether men are competing in spend when it comes towards Father's Day versus Mother's Day. Of course, women want gifts, women want material things, right? Women want shopping trips. I don't think that's what you get a real man. You feel me? There's nothing wrong with spending some money on your father, taking them somewhere, right? Maybe even taking them to go get an IV flush or something, or some NAD, or focusing on some wellness, or like going hiking with your father, or writing them a letter, or having some kind of surprise get together, or making them some dinner, something to make a man feel appreciated during those times. You understand me? There's nothing wrong with that. I think that the metrics are different. So I don't even think that's a good metric to go by when it comes to whether we're appreciating Father's Day, right? I think it's just what men don't usually get is to be seen, right? Like to see our sacrifices, to see the work that you put in and all it takes to be a man, right? Like on that day, I think the best thing you can do is like really think about your father, think about who they are. You understand me? And find a way to show them that you see them in whichever capacity that that shows up in. Honor thy father, right? Figure out a way to honor thy father. I don't think it's about money per se. You feel me? And I think that that's more important because a father, like, we don't really, and I'm not a biological father, I'm a spiritual father, but I think that your appreciation doesn't come from material gifts and things of that nature. You understand me? Like as men, we want to be seen, want to be appreciated, want to be heard, and just take a day to let that man or your father know that. Sometime it might be a day where you forgive your father. You understand me? Like, or you apologize to your father for not appreciating him as much, right? Again, I think it's the thoughtful gifts that men want. I mean, give them some peace of mind, give them some solitude. You feel me? Give them some grace. You feel me? Make it a real time. Like listen to them. There's so many thoughtful gifts that you can do for a father, but I just don't think that is steeped in capitalism. And I think that we are this year. I didn't see as much toxic media on this whole narrative between Mother's Day and Father's Day. So I think that we're learning to appreciate our fathers more and more and more. Because I can tell you, my father, I used to have a tumultuous, how you say that, relationship with my father, just because there's a lot of complexities that go into our relationship. But I always think about this, man. When my father passed away, I'm gonna appreciate everything and every memory that we ever had, right? And so the ability to be able to call my father and my mother, to text them, I love you, to just have a conversation about something or nothing, to appreciate them, to forgive them while they living, right? That to me, I think is the most important in the world, right? And so there's a lot of people that I would say probably don't have the best relationships with their father or they're not there, right? And if your father is still living, the things that you regret the most are the things that you wish you've done when you had the time to do them, right? So do those things. Do those things. That's why I speak on my father and I speak on my mother because they know I appreciate them, right? I love them to death. So shout out to all the fathers out there because I know it's not easy in this world as the world is constantly trying to redefine what a man is. We don't think about how that redefines what a father is, right? Because the ultimate level of manhood is getting to that point of fatherhood because as a father, you are a steward. You inherit this responsibility to raise these children and to manage these children and manage the affairs. And sometimes when we think about a father, he becomes this idea and he's no longer a human being, right? Like those same men have thoughts, emotions, and things that they have to go through, adversity that they have to deal with. And there's a lot of men, the great fathers, who take on all the burden of the family on their shoulders. And they never have um, a lot of times a shoulder to cry on. You know what I mean? Not that I feel like they just soft or nothing, but I mean like by cry, I mean it in the sense that you have somewhere where you can get relief. You can express yourself. I've seen my father lose his brothers, his best friends. You get up in age and the people that you love, they disappear. And there's not a lot of space for men to talk about the grief as well as there is for women because women create more space for their emotions. So we have a whole entire population of men who are emotionally backed up without space to be able to express themselves. And in the backdrop of growing up in a world where the patriarch is the enemy, you understand me? It's just not that many people who care. And if you want there to be a better generation of fathers, right? Of course, we have to create a better generation of men, which means that we have to care about these young boys and who they become. So this is why I don't push traditional manhood. I don't push red pill manhood, a manosphere manhood. We talk about what it means to be an original man. What it means to be an original man. I don't have to clickbait and rage bait it and hate women to do that. I can just be a man because original men from native, indigenous, ancient tribes, civilizations, they had a way to live in harmony with their woman by understanding themselves, understanding her nature. We live in a time literally where it revolves around the man. Now, why do I say that? That's not as conjecture or some propaganda. I mean it in the literal sense. Y'all see, I always have the sun, moon, and stars on me, man. It's to remind us of our cosmic harmony and order. Man operates on that 24 circadian cycle. Our hormones go up and down throughout the day based on the sun, position. So the 9 to 5 was created because men in the morning and the afternoon is where we have the most energy and the most focus, peak focus to be able to get things done. So they created a 9 to 5 because that's the best time to work human beings. They didn't create the woman, that's circadian rhythm, and then a woman works on an infradian cycle, which is a 28-day cycle, which is based on the moon. But in the early 1900s and late 1800s, we shifted into a solar cycle calendar, specifically in America, and it stopped operating on the moon cycle. It's no longer 13 months. It's 12 months, even though there's 13 moons, right, in a full year. So, and that's because a lot of women weren't working, and they definitely didn't regard the working Black woman cycle. But when a woman is on her cycle, right, that means her cognition might be low, right? She might not have the same mental clarity and energy. So it made sense to work the men more, but they never cared about the woman's cycle because even during slavery, the woman still had to work regardless if she was on cycle or not. There's never been a regard for the feminine energy, which means it creates instability within a nation. So it is very important that if we was to ever get to a harmonious place as a civilization in the world, it would have to be one that takes in effect a man and woman. And then if we look at the hormones that women were getting, like Plan Bs that stopped the cycle, what that allowed them to do was work the job. You have to think about these things. Why you think they introduced the chemicalization of these women, stopping menstrual cycles so that she can work more? So when more women entered the workforce, all these hormone suppressing things so that they can get more labor out of her. So yes, the world is imbalanced. The man is imbalanced, the woman is imbalanced, and then you come home and y'all wondering why y'all not getting along. You probably couldn't imagine how many people probably got divorces because of their hormonal imbalance. Relationships get harder as they go along because people are aging and don't know how to live in harmony with their age, their new age. A man's brain changes around 40, you understand me, and 50, and his body changes in 35, right? And 25. He's going through physical, biological changes where his testosterone is shifting. And we never have conversations about that. How would that affect your relationship with your woman? Right? Then the chemicalization of food, he don't feel like a man. He can't get it up. His testosterone is low. His will is not high. He can't handle stress as well. So this turns into emotional anger. Then we disconnected from the cosmos. We're not fasting when we should. When the cosmic bodies, the lunar and the solar energies are pulling on our bodies and having an effect on our brain waves, right? And having an effect on our heart and our bodies. We're so disconnected. The man knows nothing about the woman, and woman knows nothing about the man. And we're taking social media driven narrative sound bites and people who are been hurt, and we're listening to them and letting them guide us into a new identity when we feel alone. So yes, the relationship between man and woman is out of harmony, it's out of balance, and it's all kind of chaos. And so being an original man and an original woman is living in harmony. A man has confidence, so he knows how to talk to a woman. He knows how to talk to himself. A man don't drink away his problems. He stimulates himself during those times. He meditates away bad thoughts, right? He trains away the fear. He studies away the ignorance. This allows him to be a real man in the world because now he has an outlet and he has a code to live by for anything that happens. He studies his environment for what's going wrong and he doesn't blame anybody outside of self. He takes accountability and he is not just a leader that manages goals and direction of things. He is a steward because a man inherits power. And with that inheritance of power, you have to learn how to manage those things and protect things. So as an original man, right, you have all of the principles and values needed to be successful in any world because you are adaptable, you're malleable, right? You are an analyst, but you have the ability of self-awareness to know when you're going too deep in your logic and not enough in flow. I heard a young man on the podcast. I don't know the name of it, but the young man said a great point. Because I'm often looking to see how young men think in this time. And he said in his last relationship, he offered his woman a shoulder or a solution. And I thought that that was very insightful that this young man had this idea. Because it goes into the way of an original man. I don't even got to say a superior man. I think I might have to write me a book called The Way of the Original Man. Because a man had an understanding intuitively, innately, or by study and being in proxy with other men as they will commune and they will learn from other men. You have to know. Sometimes you might use an analogy of nature to describe the natures within his woman, right? But men would always have ways to give the guidance to young men so that they would know what they were dealing with, especially when dealing with self. But see, sometimes a woman wants your logic and sometimes she wants your love. And knowing the difference between when a woman wants your logic and wants your love is the key to a great relationship. And it's a key to self-care as well. Because sometimes you give yourself a practical solution and sometimes you give yourself love and grace because you don't have to be perfect at all things. You know when to be hard on yourself and you know when to be soft with yourself. You know when to be a warrior that's ready to kill and to be a gardener that's ready to nurture, to take care of things. And as a man, it's okay for these things to have harmony and coexistence within yourself. Media driven narratives created one version of a man so that they can sell this version of a man things based on his desires, right? So if they know his insecurities and what type of man that they're creating, then they can sell the same products to him over and over, right? The elites can control him over and over in certain ways. Because the original man, if the original man was perfect to be controlled, then they wouldn't have need to change anything. They wouldn't have need to change your identity and your ways of thinking. So we've gotten so far from indigenous ways that we don't know what's original. The only herbs that most people know is the ones we smoke. We think of coffee and tea, right? We think of these things as corny sometimes or soft. You understand me? And that's because the media showed coffee houses as more feminine. And it showed that these were spaces that men got together, have stimulating conversation, would build. You know what I'm saying? Like men knew when to take things that would calm them for the day. They knew which herbs would calm them, and they knew which ones that would stimulate the mind when it's time for them to go into counsel and do business and do trade, right? And build and learn. We had a natural flow with the harmony of reality, and we've lost so much of that. So we're seeking so much of ourselves in places, in lost spaces. There's a lot of lost men trying to guide and give men direction. They're great marketers, great clickbait, great rage bait, great psychologists. They understand people. They understand the manipulation of a young mind trying to find themselves. But the problem is that they give you the truth, then they can't sell you the lie. And the lie, you make a lot of money selling the lie. The truth is not the same. The truth is limited in buyers because the truth is a cure. If I kill you, you're not coming back to me. And that insecurity comes because people don't know that much, so they're insecure. Me, I don't mind. I give you one solution, I go find another problem. It's infinite out there. And see, a man that lives in limitless, he's always becoming a master, so there's no insecurities in mastery. A master is not insecure. A master can tell you about something all day long for years, and you will never know more than the master because the master is always mastering. He's guiding you along the journey, and doesn't mean you can't become greater than. But we've created a culture of dependency for repeat customers. So there's all of these people giving out information like drug dealers trying to make you hook for your next fix instead of trying to actually fix you and get you unhooked. I want you to save yourself. That's why I have a laundry list of things that we went over. We went over technology, and I look at the future now as deep cognitive wellness, right? As far as what needs to be done, there's dangers of things that we have to look out for, and I'll cover some of those things next time I go live. But family, we have to be careful of what's going on in the world today because logic is being lost. And as long as you're online, chronically online, in the wrong spaces, it's going to be taking you down these pipelines to where you may be looking for normal information and you end up in somebody's trap of mind control. And you don't know why you think the way you think. There's something that I'm going to end on. It's called narrative inversion warfare. To invert something is to flip it, right? The narrative inversion warfare that they plan now is called the familiar flip. The familiar flip, it takes these things that are typically familiar to Black culture, right? Specifically in our suffrage, right? And in our quest for triumph over white dominance, aka what they consider to be white superiority or systematic racism. So there was a Black woman by the name of, let me get the name of this because I'm actually going to do this in my book club. Mary Frances Winters. In 2020, Mary Frances Winters, she wrote a book on how racism erodes the mind, body, and spirit. And she called that book Black Fatigue. This book is available for sale today. If you go online, now they're calling this thing Black Fatigue, of saying that the rest of the races are tired of Black people. It's narrative inversion warfare. They flip something familiar so to get past your subconscious. But this was something created by a Black woman. They have not even an ounce of creativity to create their own. But it's a psyop. It's a psychological operation to manipulate and control you, right? And because they're trying to play victim Olympics to where they're rewriting history and trying to make themselves saying that I am tired of feeling guilty for my wrongdoings. The problem now, though, is that they have a lot of these new Black influencers coming out and saying, I have Black fatigue too. I'm tired of Black people too. I'm tired of the culture too. Because the psyop has been ran on them and they have a permanent identity to where they've become tools of white dominance because they wanted to fit in somewhere and they found their crowd. They found their crowd. And so you can't help them. They're no good. You have to let them go. But the fact that this comes from a black woman who wrote a book about how racism affects us and how we tired of it, and now this new form of narrative inversion warfare is this new form of racism, right? That is a psyop that is flipping narratives that normally come from us, like woke, and turn it into the woke mind virus, turn it into something negative, right? And we feel when they co-opt these terms, it's easy for them to get it into the minds of all these people. It's something that we once had, so it is reframing narratives and erasing history, right? Now a person don't want to call themselves woke. They're taking the tools that you were using to defend yourself, right? And make sense of the world. And these identities that you are connecting to as you are trying to escape the matrix, and they're co-opting them, leaving you no room to run. So family, you're not going to be able to run. You have to save yourself in different ways. You have to be able to see through the guise in the maze. The way you use AI should be making sure that you're properly researching these things. You're asking, what are these narratives that they're pushing on us? What are these psychological tools that they're using? Don't worry about the what, worry about the why. Because most of the time, the what is misinformation anyway. It's disinformation or malinformation. It's not even true. So don't argue the what. The what is the trick. The why are they doing it is what allows you to be empowered. Why are they pushing this? Why are they saying this? That's what matters. That's the thinking mind. That's why we need to have this cognitive revolution and renaissance to where we're focusing on becoming better thinkers and strategists during this time so that that cognitive awareness increases and they can't run the same psyops on superminds that they would on fools. We have to know how to categorize things, to identify them, and then move forward. Because it's going to continue to happen. And they're really good at it because they have machines that tell them what to do, to analyze information, psyops, which ones to run, which ones not to run. And they can easily run it on a susceptible population that is chronically online because they're lonely, they're stressed out, they're broken, they're trying to figure out something to attach to. So watch out. Be vigilant when you're online. And if you think that you can filter these things, I want you now to think about that child or that busy mother or father who don't even have time to think. They're just scrolling, taking in things, don't know what to make of the world. They don't have time to think. They don't have time to process information and know what's real and what's not. An old grandmother, grandfather who don't have time to process whether this is a deep fake. And now they gave the world the power of having deep fakes. I was listening to a clip from Earn Your Leisure, and Earn Your Leisure was talking about how, where it is, Palantir secured a 795 million U.S. Army contract. And my brother Ian Dunlap rightfully said that this is like investing into chattel slavery. It is digital chattel slavery. The systems that they're creating, this Big Brother 10.0, to where they're utilizing these mass surveillance tools on citizens, is one of the most totalitarian, dangerous things, right, to happen in our lifetime. And of course, they got people marching in the streets about no more kings, which is a very rightful name for the protests because it's not about immigration. Immigration is the scapegoat for wage suppression and automation and the age of social credits and digitalization and government automation, right? The acceleration of the end of democracy and the implementation of an artificially intelligent government controlled by the techno elites. That's what the real reality of it is. But if I can get the blacks and the Spanish to go at each other online, if I can get the blacks and African to go at each other online, if I can get the blacks and the whites to go at each other online, if I can get the Muslims and the Christians and all of these fragmentations, but they're so good at it because now they have the technology that can help them with the cognitive warfare against their own citizens. That you never focus on the true problem because the immigrants aren't making the laws, they're not controlling the laws. This country has an interesting history. California has only been a part of America since 1850 when the founding fathers started this country, right? Mexico was a part of California, or California was a part of Mexico. Of course, you got the Spanish colonization, Afro Mexicans, right? The Moors that came over as well, and a lot of those had Spanish names, but they was actually black men and women just like you and I. But once they were a part of these ships and these conquests, they had to take on these names. So you don't even realize that a lot of that history is yours. And then when you see San Diego and San Jose and Los Angeles and all these places, not even realizing that these were built off concepts that come from your ancestors of sacred geometry and architecture and things of that nature. America inherited a lot of these states, right? Half the states, like Mexico had got rid of slavery in 1821, but don't get me wrong, right? There was still the patrol laws that allowed them to have slaves in California, right? And capture free, right? Free men and slaves. So they always find a loophole, of course. We know how that goes. But then before that, you have Native Americans. Native Americans, same complexion. You understand me? Copper colored people in these lands. This is an area made up of different tribes. And how do you know? Because it still has the names Oklahoma, Mississippi. You understand me? Florida, right? California, Los Angeles, San Jose, San Diego, right? Like, where do you think these names are? So it's interesting being in America because America a is a patched together United States of places that have been dominated, conquered, right, over time, but not all at once. Never has been all at once. Even when you go into history, right, George Washington really wasn't the first president. They had at least like 8 other presidents, but even before, let's say, okay, we only regard the people when the Articles of Confederation come in. There was still a guy who served before George Washington, almost like basically a full term. These guys were full of Christians and Freemasons, right? There was not one specific moment of unity that brought this country together. And that's why it's important to note that we are unifying, but unity doesn't look like perfection. Unity takes time, it happens over time. Sometimes unity looks like disagreement, it looks like conflict, it looks like various philosophies and opinions, right? Trying to win out what becomes the movement, what becomes the agreement that we come together on. So America had to go through a turmoil, a tumultuous time to where the founding fathers and the people before that didn't agree. They was assassinating each other, fighting for power, vying for power, betraying each other. So when I see Black America trying to unite, that's the process. I want us to look at what we're going through today as the process. Some of us get killed in the middle of it. Some of us find micro agreements, right? But we're working towards it and we've never stopped working towards it. But it was never meant to be a day. It was never meant to be a moment. It was always meant to be a movement. So again, this is what the process of unity looks like. Doesn't look like the way we want it to, but ultimately we will get there. So peace to the family. There's much that we need to stay vigilant on, and there's much that we need to look forward to. We stay vigilant on their plans and we look forward to our own. Bitcoin, gold, assets, the things are shifting. I've been teaching on these things for quite some time. And it's time for you to get in the game and stop playing. The AI, the crypto, it's not going nowhere. You have to master these things. You have to master self. OpenAI just rolled out where you can go on a website and you can upload your website to it. You upload your website to it so that your product shows up in search. As a small, medium, or large business, you have to make sure that you're optimizing for large language models and not just search engine optimization. So when people are searching through AI, younger generations are searching, your product can also be seen. I don't want us to miss this wealth race. You have to be early on things, you have to master them, you have to dominate. Me, I'm in the wellness industry. I'm in the tech industry. We want to build out super wellness gyms and retreat spaces. We're working on all our wellness products, such as the Supermind brand. We currently have our formula for our Supermind. Then we have our Supermind coffee and we have our Supermind tea coming. And these are adaptogens and nootropics because this is the age where your mind needs to be working as sharp as and clear as possible. Then we create our Supermind talks and sessions that we have, which are spaces that we curate for the community to come together to where you can have sober social. You don't always have to be drunk or go to the club to meet somebody. What's the point of that? We have our meetups. We'll be allowing investors to come in at some point in time, but you should be having your plans. What are you doing in the future? Where are we going towards? When I teach AI, I'm not teaching the technicals of it, I'm teaching the philosophy of it. This is the time to understand how to think so you can utilize these AI in ways, right, that allow you to build out your vision. So AI philosophy is the key right now. Learning how to think and then utilizing the machines to help you with the process to get things done because we are going into the age of automation. But if you don't have vision, dreams, if you don't have detailed ideas, if you don't know how to prompt the machines, then they're not really useful to you. Juneteenth, make sure y'all tap in because I'm going to be having a package for you all to tap in with. Typically, we allow people to get into infinite wealth strategies at like 444. We're going to do a 1 day to where it's going to be a full package of wealth standard, infinite wealth strategies, digital books. You understand me? Where you learn tokenomics, crypto, right, etc. A whole package, a bundle of things, right? It's going to be from $99 to $44. And this is going to be a 1 day thing. And you're going to be able to essentially take all this information, execute, and build your future. It's yours. It's going to be a 1 time I'm doing it. Y'all know I love the 19s. But I was like, how do you eliminate people excuses? Once you have the education, you have the knowledge, do what you want with it as far as execution. You need to learn tokenomics. You need to learn which assets to set up your portfolio right. You need to be buying into the gold, right? You need to be understanding the AI philosophy and the mindset around it on how to use these things, right? But then also, we got the bundle of books that you can tap in with so that you can learn, right? A learning man is an earning man. And we're not trying to tap your pockets. We're going to set these things up in a way to where essentially you have no reason not to get it. Share this with a friend, a family member, an uncle, or whoever the hell you want to that needs it. But most importantly, this is the knowledge that you need so that you can guide your children into the future. Things are moving faster than we can keep up with. You don't need to know everything, but you need to know the right things. You understand me? So I did ask the people, I said, who would want a mentorship from me for 30 days? And I had thousands of inquiries. So now what my team is doing is figuring out what is the process of us figuring out who we want to take in. Who do we want to take in? Right? I tried to do this before, and all those who got into my OG mentorship master's program, you get grandfathered into this, so don't worry. But the goal is if you have to come in, and the goal is really giving you that clarity, communication, and confidence, right? What I want to do is only teach you what I'm doing, which is world building. As we're going to building out this brand, Supermind, we're doing it in a way that brand's supposed to be built right now. Creator-led brands have to world build, not just brand build and not just marketing. You need to know how to story tell, right? You need to know how to communicate with mediums. So actual speaking communication, these are skills that I've honed in over the last 30 years of my life, right? But you also need to know how to utilize content in a capacity to storytell and utilize which tools and AI that allow you to build out your brand, right? To be able to automate your content flow so that you can decrease the amount of work that you're doing. So there's a lot of people that are tired and burnt out because they have too many options. They have too much access. There's a new tool every single day. But you don't need every single tool. What you need to do is focus on building out your world Bible, right? Your vision of what you're going to be building, what it sounds like, what it feels like when somebody come into that world, because people are buying your product because they're tickets to the world. You don't need to use every AI. You need to know which ones to pick up when it's necessary that fit into your vision so you're not overwhelmed. The goal is really giving you clarity, giving you that confidence to feel like you know exactly what you need to do during this time and you can execute and be successful daily. I'm not talking about some great transformation. I'm talking about daily success, having the right rituals that you can utilize to execute. When you tap in with me, if I'm working with you personally, you have to have some large goals that you're going to meet, right? That means that if I'm giving you access, right, to my world, right, my Rolodex, right, to move in spaces as we move, to have one on ones with you, you actually need to have a real goal in life so that it's something measurable, right? So that I can even measure when you're successful and what that success means to you. So when we open this up, you understand me? We can't take everybody because, like I said, we had thousands of submissions, and I won't be able to literally mentor thousands of people. But I do want to be responsible for creating success in your life. Sometimes people need access, sometimes they need clarity, sometimes they need consultation, sometimes they need more confidence in life, right? Sometimes you need more cognition so you can increase your capacity because you're dealing with too much. So those are going to be the things that we focusing on, giving you that framework, right? So you know how to build out not just your business and your brand, but your life and your thinking moving forward. And I believe that this can set you apart from 99% of the world. So I'm 19 Keys. I appreciate you all. Um, if you want to be proactive when it comes to this particular mentorship, send me a DM or an email at 19keys at 19keys.com. We have a forum, and you can always join in the forum. You can send me a video, et cetera, et cetera. But I want you to send me a direct DM and let me know why you deserve it and what is the value of this opportunity for you, right? If you are proactive in taking those steps, then I can begin to take you serious and we can work together. This is going to be for the month of July, right? It's going to be specifically 30 days. And over that time, we're going to be working on ordering your life and your business and structuring you in a way that allow you to have success for going into the rest of the year, going into 2026 and beyond. So yes, there's a lot of things going on in the world, but I'm going to show you what we're doing and what's our blueprints so you can follow the same way. And I think the most important thing that people need is the mindset, but we're also going to be giving you the frameworks that I actually use in business to execute. So, peace, family. Be on the lookout for those things. Make sure you like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, right? And also make sure you go tap into my Substack. Substack is a platform that I utilize to write my thoughts. Sometimes I don't always update on Twitter or on YouTube, but I'm active in between different platforms because I'm utilizing these different platforms for different mediums of expression. There's actually a deeper strategy in the Substack that I will be sharing with you all. And everybody needs to know this strategy if you want to have a brand, personal brand, and presence in the future. So I suggest everybody go sign up and subscribe to my Substack because I will be writing an article on what's my exact strategy that I'm utilizing Substack to win. Peace to the family, peace to the gods. This has been your review on the state of the culture. Clip up your best moments. Oh, I forgot. Last thing, we got Supermind. So we're doing our new Supermind collabs. So there's a lot of people that I feel like are great affiliates for Supermind. Y'all already make good content. Y'all been trying our Supermind and y'all love it, right? And y'all sent me such great videos that I had the team start the affiliate program with collabs to where you get 20% of sales that you make. You're already making the content. You're showing people your daily routine and your ritual and why you like it. Y'all saying it's the best tasting on the market. Even the people that don't like coffee, they love our functional mushroom, right? Blend because it is not like this bitter tasting jitter coffee. It's something for clarity. It's a smooth flow. You don't even need milk or sugar. You can just take it straight. That one is great. So if you don't do it yet, but I think we're going to drop it probably tomorrow inside of my community, the Shopify collabs. You can sign up for a profile, right? And you'll be getting paid out, I believe, almost instantly as sales come in and confirm. So we're building a business with the community, and this is one of the ways that we're going about it. So as we grow, you grow, right? It's another way that you can make income as well. Same way people make a lot of money reviewing AI and content. And then what you do is you connect your mini chat to it. You tell people how much you like it and say, yo, if you want to try what I'm trying, then comment Supermind. People buy it, then we pay you for helping us build the brand with you. So I believe the future of affiliates and collabs is key because a lot of people will be hiring their audience. And that's what I'm doing, right? I'm allowing you to come in this business with me. So don't just take the product, make some money off of it as well. Peace to the family, peace to the guides. I appreciate y'all.